Hi, it's me, Brooks. Thank you for joining us on Heal This. I have a special guest today. Her name is Kari Zwickel, and I'm super excited to talk about all of the things that she does and healing. So I want to turn some time over to you, Kari. Hi, Kari.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Brooks.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Kari Zwickel. I am, a wife, a mom, a business owner. I own a small holistic aesthetics practice, and then I also teach. So, I certify other estheticians in more holistic modalities as well. So, it depends on what hat I'm wearing.
Yes, I love that. You're doing all this work with skin. Skin is the largest organ.
Skin is the largest organ on the body. And I've been in aesthetics probably about 25 years.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated with the human body. I just think there's so much to it and like the connection. When I was in college, I was going to school for health education. I wanted to be a teacher because I was like, we all need to know, about our bodies. And as I was like halfway through school, I realized that they were really starting to pull those classes out of the school systems. I remember when health education was much more like it was like a class, like an English or whatever, and you would have it for like a full semester, if not a full year. And now they cover it in science in like a week or something.
Right.
And so
They just brush
at
over
that
it.
point, they totally brush over it. And so I kind of realized at that point, like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, I want to teach and kind of know more about this, but like not being able to really do that because it wasn't offered anymore. And so I started working part-time for a dermatologist while I was in school. And so that's kind of what piqued my interest in skin.
Nice.
At that time I was living out west, so there was lots of skin cancer. So it was much more of a critical care type dermatology. And so I just decided at that point I wanted to switch gears. And that's when I kind of enrolled into an aesthetics program out there. And I was very fortunate because it was at that time, it was much more holistically based than what I find a lot now. Like we did special trainings with naturopaths, and we worked with essential oils and things like that. And that was my first introduction specifically to the lymphatic system and things. So it really kind of opened that doorway, right? Yeah. So yeah. And I, we left the West and came back to Middle Tennessee, and aesthetics is just very different here. And so, at that point I went to work. We had a medical director that was a plastic surgeon, which was fantastic. I learned a lot there. I've never been a big chemical person per se. I think that comes from doing some early training with more naturopaths and looking at molecular structures and where do things really end and all of that. So, I kind of always have shied away from that almost. And I always tended to go more on the energetic plane, whether that be like through hands or currents, microcurrents, things like that. And so, I just kind of kept running into some common themes that I was starting to see shift in skincare. And that was really, people were starting to be diagnosed a lot with rosacea, which was unusual to me.
I remember that too. Like, I remember knowing a lot of people who had rosacea, and I'm like, what is that? Which I do know what it is, but why? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so that was one of those rabbit hole questions. And then, it
Hmm.
really got to me. I was starting to see, people in all different generations with more cystic acne, which when I
Right.
was in school, like there might have been a couple in high school, but,
Hmm.
we all had like our little puberty pimples
Sure.
or whatever. But I was starting to notice this. And I think what took it a little bit deeper for me was, they would be treated with, X, Y, or Z, but as soon as they would come off of those treatments, a lot of the times their symptoms and things would actually just come back.
Right.
So yeah, those were the two things. Just started asking more questions. I wanted to know a little bit deeper. I
Yes.
wanted to know why and things like that,
Yes.
and just kind of looking back inward. You know,
Yes.
um,
And I think that you brought up two of the same things that I started to do. I started seeing the same patterns. I started seeing patterns where I was kind of like, this keeps walking in my office. This keeps walking in my office. That's strange. Totally different age, totally different situations, but same thing coming in. Why? That's what
yes,
I would do. And then when I looked into the why, it was so much deeper than the skin, right? I mean, i'm
yes,
i'm i'm massaging muscles and soft tissues, and I'm wondering, why are you all walking in with right shoulder stuck? Everybody,
right,
what's going on? So yes, okay, cool.
yes,
I love it. And then it's also the passion of learning and digging a little deeper, right? Just wanting
yes,
to know what
yes,
else is going on. And so, I mean, I've experienced an appointment with you. It's not like the same appointment as other estheticians. So, you come in and you really want to know what's going on in your life. Like, you're not just
yes,
like, okay, lay down, I'm going to put some stuff on
yes,
you and then we'll we'll fix you right
yeah.
up.
Right, right.
So,
It's really, yeah, and I love that. And honestly, my practice really changed gears about 6 years ago well, a little, probably about seven, when I kind of decided to go on my own. I love that you
mhm,
talk about healing so much because it's all about the journey. And my practice really was developed on something that, we had had some family trauma at home with one of my children, and it resulted in me coming home and homeschooling, which, when I said I wanted to teach, that is not what that was not on my radar. But
I
um,
understand.
it was such a healing journey. But, I'll never forget the time when I woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror and I was like, who am I? Like, I feel like
Oh,
it was like I had totally lost myself because
oh,
I didn't know what I enjoyed. I was so engulfed in, how do I help? How do I help him? How do I help my family? What do I need
right.
to do? That I had just disconnected from my own self. And at that point, it was so pivotal because I was like, I can't be the only one alone in this. Like, I can't be experiencing this by myself. And so whether that be like other moms that were, that is
Hmm.
definitely the most rewarding and most challenging job to me in the whole world is being a mom. And, I knew I couldn't be alone. And I knew, whether it's a woman that is working, 60 hours a week in the corporate world and, or whatever the
Right,
dynamic. And I'm like, I got to be able
right.
to like give back. Like that is just what my heart felt. Like I have to find a way. And what I know is through my hands and through skin and the work that I do. That's how my practice really was born. And that's what it's for. And that's why, being able to support and really nourish and like connect with people and listen and hold space, which is all of those things that you do as well in your treatment room.
Yeah.
It's just something, it's like a gift. I
Hmm.
truly feel privileged to be able to make these
Yes.
connections. And so I think that's, really taps into that more holistic
Yes.
principles, because it all shows on the skin. And like you said in the beginning, like it's our largest organ.
Hmm.
And for me,
It
it's really is an inner reflection of
absolutely, that's what I was going to say.
what's
We
going
know
on.
that yeah, there's so many other organs that are expressed on the skin. And I know
Yes.
a lot of times someone who really knows skin, right? They either a dermatologist, esthetician, Chinese medicine, they look right at the skin. They'll tell you right away what's going on.
Yes.
You're stressed out. You're
Yes.
eating too much of this. This is hormonal. There's lots of different things that you can tell. And we're all walking around just oblivious most of the time, thinking that
I
if I just
know.
put a little cream on it, it'll just go away. And that's
Yes.
not what it is. There's other stuff going on. And it doesn't mean it's always like the worst thing. We don't have to go to like the worst thing that's happening. It could be a very subtle low vibration that's happening inside of us that's basically being expressed outside through our skin. And I
Absolutely.
yes, and I'm so glad you're sharing this part of your story too, because I this is funny because I didn't really know, but I had a very similar situation where I had gotten divorced, I had gotten a job, then that job didn't work out, and I woke up one morning and for some reason when I sat straight up in the bed, the mirror was right in front of me. It just had never happened that way before. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Who is that?" And it
Yeah.
was just because I was just so fatigued, and
Mhm.
I was really just trying to survive, like
Yeah.
that whole situation and get through and get everybody else through. And here I am, and now I have no idea what to do. And I said to myself, what would I do for you if you were my friend?
Oh, I love that question.
Because
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't even know who that is, but she looks familiar,
Right.
what would I do for her if she was my friend? And the thing I kept coming back to was I just need to give myself some grace and time and a whole lot of love. Like I really needed to love and support
Yes.
myself. And that took some digging, like, what do I really need in my life and what's going on, and asking all those questions for myself. And that is why you're so good at what you do, is because you do that for other people too. You hold that space for other people, just like you did in that moment where you were like, I don't know what's going on with me. I got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so
Yeah.
important. And I love that, like when you speak on like the vibration and things like that, like it's so hard for us to listen. It's hard
Hmm.
for us to be quiet and to really
Hmm.
listen. And like you said, ask the questions, because a lot of the
Hmm.
times it's our society is not set up like that. Like it's busy and go to go and how much can you get done? And in that we lose all of the meaning behind
Hmm.
everything, and we lose that interconnection. And that's what I find is just so fascinating through touch, you know
Yes.
through touch,
Yes.
like you
Yes.
can start to reconnect, and it's building that connection.
Well, and you're bringing people back into their body. And like somebody who's not all the way familiar with that kind of a phrase, a lot of times we're just all so up in our head. We're just thinking,
Yes.
we're not really connecting. And
Yep.
for me, that's something that I have to do every day. Otherwise, I mean, I'm basically carrying everybody else's stuff all the time if I'm not just
Yeah.
connecting to Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something else
That's
that
so
made
true.
me think. And the fact that you're a
It's
teacher and that you're teaching other people this, thank you. I know what
oh
I was going to say. There so much of us are on the quick fix, right? Like we're like, okay, so okay, we'll do something really quick and then we'll feel better. But why is
yeah,
it that we're so afraid to ask the questions and be in touch with what's
I
really
know.
going on? And that's the part that I really want to understand, because
Yes,
people are just walking around with that.
people are. And the other day I was sharing it was funny because I was listening to a podcast and they were sharing the research that had come out, and
Oh,
it
yes.
kind of, it broke my heart, made me super sad. Because one of the questions that I ask on the intake form is, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? And
Yes.
honestly, like, it is not a question for myself. It is a
Right.
question solely for the client. And I would say 98% of the time, people always find their flaws. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of shifting, you were talking about the mindset, instead of shifting that mindset and focusing on, I mean, we are radiant beings, right? Like, and
We're light
finding those
beings. We
favor.
are light beings.
We are. We
Mm-hmm.
are. And, and when I was listening to this podcast and they were like, the research was showing that 91% of women, when they look in the mirror, don't like what they see,
Yeah. So
which breaks my
sad.
heart. And then it brings
Mm-hmm.
that challenge out, because you said it earlier, the
I felt
quick
that too.
fixes, yeah, it's like one little piece, right?
Yep.
It's like the healing process and the reconnecting, like we've been
Yes.
talking about, and getting to know yourself. And, and there's so much more, especially for me, to be able to share, whether it's with clients or students or whatever, because we can connect through so much, like you mentioned, like
Yep.
everything runs through our skin too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the nervous system, the lymphatic system, the blood system, like, and so just
Everything.
through
Yep.
touch, yes, it shifts so much. And
Yeah.
I just feel like we just have, we have a journey, right?
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
when I'm working with someone and I'm coaching, the very first thing is, how do you feel about yourself? Like, what is going on with yourself? And I want to say, I love you. I believe in you. And there's just one person, if that helps, and you have to do that for yourself. Do you
Yeah,
see that with
I do
people?
see it. I feel like there's always a piece that, I feel like it kind of goes back to those like quick fixes almost.
Hmm.
And people lose that connection, and they're just so far from it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's why touch just helps bring that back together. It's almost like
That
it's
makes
it's
sense.
really starting that healing process, right?
Hmm.
And I always go back to and use this, like if we think about a baby, because I feel like we can honestly learn so much from children. And if we think about a
Yes.
baby, that is upset and crying, like, what do we do? What do we do? We
Hmm.
hold them, we cuddle them, we touch them, we soothe them, we do all of these things. And
Hmm.
yet we're taught not to do those things to ourselves. I remember being
Right.
taught, don't touch your skin. You will get a pimple. Don't touch your skin.
Right.
You know, things like that. And then I see,
Or
people doing
don't
things to their
stretch it when
bodies.
you put makeup on, because it'll stay that
Yes.
way. I'm like, does it really stay that way?
Yes,
Okay, well,
right.
don't
I'm
touch my
like,
skin
oh
at
my
all.
gosh. Right. Yeah. Like those
Yeah.
those fine lines. Yeah, we need to work those. Let's
Right.
just stop putting things
Yes.
into it. Like, let's work them. Like we were talking about, the ability to see, to look at the skin and look at our own body's cues of what
Hmm.
might be going on inside.
Yes.
I feel like everybody knows, like, when something is wrong with the liver, right? Babies are born, they have jaundice, we know it's the liver, things like
Right.
that. Or if we know someone that's, been an alcoholic or whatever, their eyes turn yellow, like all of these things show. And it's like we
Right.
just need to become more aware and more in tune to listen to our body to figure out, oh, what's going on. And we don't have to
Yes.
always put a label on it. I feel
Yes.
like the healing is the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cranial sacral work is actually what we're doing when with our babies. You know, we have their little sacrum in our hand, and then we're
Yes.
doing this motion, right? And that's exactly what cranial sacral is helping that flow go back and forth, and calming the parasympathetic nervous system and coming back to the balance there. So yeah, it's something that across the board is affecting all of the organs in our body, our hair, our skin, our sleep. I know you even asked that.
Yes.
How's your sleep? So, where would you advise someone to start on their healing journey? Right? So, someone's come
Mm,
in, they're coming in to see you for a nice, relaxing facial, and you're kind of like, there's a whole lot going on here. So, what
yeah.
would you first tell them to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Um,
every situation is different, but I kind of feel like there's one or two things that we kind of have in our tool bags that we offer for a space of healing at the very beginning when somebody's really asking for it. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a great question too. I feel like there's two things that come to mind. One piece of it is intention.
mm,
I always find
I love that.
the majority of people rush. There's no intention behind, oh my God, I got to cleanse my face again. Oh, I got to do all this, that, and the other, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, like we were talking about, that
Hmm.
energy that you're giving and you're connecting with that baby is not like, oh my gosh, quit crying. It's like, oh, it's
Well,
okay.
they
I've
know when
got
you
you.
have that
You,
intention.
yes, yes, right. But
Yeah.
it's the intention that goes behind it when you're
Yeah.
cleansing or when you're applying the products. And it doesn't matter if it takes 1 minute or if you're a person that loves to spend 20 minutes. It's the intention
Yes.
of knowing that you are doing something to help support your body, yourself. That is
Hmm.
so important. The second thing is, I think people miss an open invitation when they literally cleanse their skin.
Okay.
And I say that because it presents an opportunity for us to really feel and really connect. And again, not putting labels on it, but realizing, wow, my jaw's kind of tender. Have I been clenching, or what's going
Hmm.
on? Or I've got some congestion down here on my chin. Like, is my neck being tight? All of these things. And
Right.
if even on the more spiritual side, if you look back and really look at cleansing,
Right.
no matter what your practice is, whether that's, someone that's, cleansing of the feet,
Right.
or, cleansing of the energy, like whatever, it's an
Yes.
opportunity. And I think that that is such a wonderful place to start for people, to start that reconnection. And I always
Yeah.
like that. And a lot of times, even when it comes to product, like you don't have to use some super expensive product. You can use just a
Hmm.
beautiful, organic oil of some kind that you enjoy. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so I'm thinking when you're saying that, when you're washing your face, it's a really good time to do your affirmations. I'm trying to plug those a lot these days,
Mm,
if you haven't noticed.
I love
you
that.
know, like,
Yeah.
um, I love my body, right? I'm just kind of thinking about it as I'm
Yes.
doing it. And my body works every day when I
Yeah.
wake up. It does what I need it to do. I think a lot of times when people are really struggling with their body, that's definitely one of the first things I offer is to say, is your body working okay? Is it, I
I
mean, it's
love that.
freaking amazing. like
Right.
let's appreciate it that it's moving today. And so like I'm just thinking when
Yes.
you're saying washing, I'm just thinking, and I love my body and I love me, and look, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
beautiful, right? Like just kind of adding
Yes.
in those, even if you don't all the way believe it every day, just little specks of it.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I mean, there's so much that's going on with lymph in our face and in our skull, the back of our
Hmm.
heads, and
Yeah.
in our neck, that
Yeah.
most people are just now hearing about lymph, and it's like,
Yes.
it's been
And
around
it's so
forever. And
pivotal. It's yes, and it makes me so happy to know that people are starting to become more aware of the lymph and even the nervous system, which are
mhm,
two huge components when we start to talk about the health of the skin. And when we think about our lymphatic system runs all over the body and it doesn't have a pump. And most people have anywhere between 600 to 800 lymph nodes. And a
mhm.
good average from, the neck up, we have about 200. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
crazy.
And
Yes.
it's crazy. And I
Hmm.
feel like, a lot of times people look at lymph and it's more along the lines of, oh, it's kind of our waist, picks up the waist and things like that. But which is true. But
Hmm.
there's a whole nother component of that, right? Like it's paralleling the blood system.
Right.
I always tell women, and one of my the most beautiful estheticians, Angela Peck, kind of coined the phrase like no flow, no glow. And it refers to the neck. And we as women just carry all of our stress up
Yep.
here in our
Right up and
neck,
through here
right?
and on our jaws. So it's like
Yeah, I
in
bet you.
between these two
Yes.
spots. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And when we have that constriction, we are
Yeah.
not getting the fresh flow of nutrients and oxygen and everything we need. And we're
Yes.
not ridding everything that needs to go and
Right.
realizing what a vital role our lymphatic system plays in our immunity, both
Yes.
in the gut and specifically on the face. We've got a
Yes.
mouth, we've got our nose, we're breathing everything in,
Yeah.
and people don't put that.
No, no, no. And I'm glad you brought it up that it doesn't have a pump, because the pump is movement, right? Like we have to be
Yes.
moving and we have to be hydrated for it to move. And we're all sitting like this, we're stuck, and we're not
Yes.
moving. And that's what moves the lymph. And so you get sick, right? You have like a little cold or whatever, and now you have extra stuff that the lymph has to move out and get out of the way so that you can continue this glow thing we're all going for. And it gets stuck.
Yes.
It's stuck there. and
Yes.
and then we're like, why isn't
Yes.
it? I remember even asking this before I knew all of this, and I was like, why doesn't it just do it on its own? Like, I mean, I shouldn't have to regulate my my lymphatic system.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets
Yeah.
stuck because of other stuff in there, and you're not moving or hydrated. And so
Yeah.
anyway, little
And
piece
I
of
think it's
information
so
there.
critical right now too, because for me, premature aging actually happens as one of the results with stagnation within the tissue. And I see it happening, like we were talking about the things that were evolving differently, like the rosacea and the acne. And what I see
Right.
more and more, especially on, the when people are in their teens, are these lines that are starting to develop early on their neck.
Interesting. Wow.
And it's
Okay.
because of this.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
We're holding
Wow.
that position. We are holding that position. And
For
we
hours at a
are
time.
literally causing stagnation in there.
Hmm. So
So
interesting.
again, it goes back to cleansing with intention, manipulating the skin, getting in there and really, what do you feel? Like our body will tell
Right.
us if we'll listen, and really
Yes.
making that connection that this is our gateway. Like this is our
Yes.
bridge. Yeah.
Yes. That's so good. Thank you. That's
It's
awesome.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm so excited that you brought it up. And for like your work that you do, like I love it because I feel like it's like one piece of the puzzle, right? And I feel
Hmm.
like a lot of the times people always say, oh, it's expensive or whatever. And like, this is a commitment to yourself, right? It's no
Yes.
secret. You're either paying for stuff, on the back end,
Yeah. Right.
or you're paying through the journey.
Yep.
So you're investing in
And
yourself. I can't think of a better thing to invest in.
this is so true. And I would
Yeah.
rather invest in someone who's willing to show me something, like show me how I can do this at home a little bit so I can take care of myself. So
Yes.
my maintenance is, like getting an oil change instead of, going in every week trying to figure out how to make it look better. I want to also
Yes.
just feel better. I
Yes.
want to I want to run on optimal levels,
Yes.
so
And I love that you're saying that too, because I feel like having those tools in our toolboxes, like that's what makes the difference. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, what you do at home
mhm.
is more important than what you do coming in here. When you come in here, we can take it to another level, right? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But the consistency is the key. And, we're not getting a six
Absolutely.
pack of abs by going to the gym once a month.
No. Why not?
I don't know.
Sign
I don't
me
know.
up.
Yeah, that's right. Or that magic pill.
Right. Yeah. No. Dang it. I keep looking for it though, but it's not out
I
there.
know, right? Always.
The healing on the inside is a reflection on the outside. When you say, have you watched clients come in and you are looking at them as a whole body and holistically within your
Yeah.
scope, of course? This is something that comes up. Well, if there's something that I can't help someone with, then referring them out to someone,
Mhm.
like you can go talk to someone or you can go see
Mhm.
this person. They're really good at helping
Yeah.
you with that. And then seeing them have the
Right.
progression, they're not even doing anything different with their skin, but all of a sudden you're just seeing it because the
Mhm.
glow is there because
Yeah.
they've progressed.
Yes.
What
And I
has Yeah.
think, a lot of times I think in aesthetics too, it's really thought about like we do things like specifically on the face, which absolutely, but our skin runs all over our body.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite treatments that I feel so passionately about is aroma reflex, which is
Oh.
done down the back of the spine,
Oh,
on
right.
the sacrum, the
Yes.
back of the neck, and the face.
Hmm.
And it's because, like we were talking about, like the nerves run all through the skin, like, right? And so
Yes.
when we're going through and manipulating, and I'm also bringing in different flower essences and things to help support the body, that's what we're doing. We're
Hmm.
supporting the body as a whole. So we're working that tissue everywhere. And I have my checkpoints. I always look at the skin on the feet. I look at the people's hands. Like I'm always, and staying inside my scope of practice, but it
Hmm.
enables me to build a specific facial or skin program for them that can up level. And I think, it always goes back to the saying for me, and it was Mother Teresa or Saint Teresa said, beauty is not on the outside. It is the inner light that we see.
Yeah.
Beauty, when you have vitality, it
Hmm.
shows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Hmm.
just think about the people that are so meaningful and beautiful. If we really sat and like analyzed them, are they really like
Hmm.
the most attractive people? Like if you look at like beauty standards that are out there,
Right.
so you don't even look at that stuff. That is like totally becomes irrelevant because you're so focused on, wow, this is an awesome human being. Look at them. They're going.
Yeah.
I look at my
Yep.
mother-in-law and I'm like, she's in her 70s and I'm like, you go climb that mountain. you know,
Right.
I'm like,
Yes.
whoa, it's crazy
Yes.
to me. And so I
Yes.
think, to really help connect people with that and realizing that and being able to deliver the treatments in the rooms that help bridge that gap. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, I love all of that. It's right up what I'm trying to do, so I love it so much. Yes.
Yeah,
Well, I want to turn a little bit more to more of personal questions for you, if that's okay.
sure. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what is healing to you? What does it
Hmm.
mean? How would you define healing?
I think um, when I think of healing, I think of journey, and that's just what comes to me. And I feel like it's all about the layers. And so it's about experiencing things. And, as you peel back one layer, and I'm talking about looking inward again, like
Mm-hmm.
it's about reconnecting with ourselves. And that might bring up a lot,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's traumatic, emotional, like all of these different feelings. And then it's about sitting with that and
Mm-hmm.
being with that and working through that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And when you feel grounded and like you can pivot within that, you're already starting to peel back something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's a lot of connection, like reaching out and finding the support through people such as yourself
Mm-hmm.
that enable and become part of my journey it,
Mm-hmm.
towards healing. I
Yes.
feel like we're always but it's being able to feel that comfort as you move through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to relate when I say this. I don't want to take away from anything you just said. So when I think of comfort, I'm thinking of someone showing me love and grace, right? Like, and teaching me how to do that for myself,
Yeah.
because sometimes I don't
Yes.
know how to do that. And in those moments when you and I both we're looking at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we're having to then put it into action for ourselves. And yeah, there's so much digging, we have to do. And but
There's
it
so
doesn't
much
have
digging.
it doesn't have to take a real long time, and it doesn't have to hurt, and it
No.
like all the time.
Mm-mm.
It could
Mm-mm.
simply just be like, it's okay. It is what it is,
Yep.
And
Yep.
then but there's happy
And
days
I feel like
ahead.
there's something, yes, yes. And there's something special about finding people that can, whether that's mentors or coaches or functional practitioners, whatever, that can hold
Hmm.
that space and ask those questions that you need right at that time.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because sometimes we're going in circles and we really don't even hear our own self, what it is we're expressing, and we kind of need someone to just say, "This is what I hear you saying."
Yeah. 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 Like you're looking back in that mirror, right? Like,
Right.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I like all of that. And so um I just think that anyone who hears what we do, if you have a friend, right, that you can see is kind of struggling or whatever, really what they're doing is they're trying to find healing. They're trying to find that space where they are balanced for a little while and can then allow themselves to have love for themselves, right? I mean, I feel
Yes.
like
Yes.
if we can just help, because I want this to like go. Like this needs to be a
Yeah.
movement, we need to
Yes.
all raise our vibration and shift up, right? The upward
Absolutely.
spiral. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Absolutely.
the that's the purpose of the healing, not to like bring us down and feel bad about it and like, all that stuff. No, like I'm ready to let go of that and move forward. I got a lot of places
Yes.
to go and things to do. There are so many different healing modalities out there. Is there anything that you're just really wanting to try that is just something you've heard about, or something that you're like, "Ooh, I want to go try that"?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I feel like I'm always hearing about new things too.
Yeah.
The two things I will tell you, the two things that I am really in on right now, I love and I'm kind of obsessed with this whole fluid body, this web that has been with us since the beginning for us, and it holds and connects everything to each other. I love the fascia. Like, I'm so into that. I mean, I
Yes.
obviously do it in my work as well, but
Hmm.
now that I've literally started to experience it on more of the full body level, it blows me away.
Yeah.
The other thing that I have that is new to me is constitutional work of, going into that deeper meditative state and entering into those different realms and having more of those general conversations, kind of, if you will, and specifically relating that to my family. That's been a big change. So, not just for me, like personally, but as far as the relationships and the dynamics within my family itself.
Yes.
And I think that's just being able to kind of tap into more of that, spirit,
Hmm.
mind, body, that whole connection. Those are kind of the two
Absolutely.
things that really have, like, I'm super curious about all of it anyways. Um, Especially from that energetic standpoint, that vibrational
Hmm.
standpoint. So those are
Hmm.
things that I'm kind of like really curious about.
Yes. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so when you thought the body was just like amazing, then you learn about fascia, right? And a lot of that's another thing that I think more people are catching on to. What is fascia? I mean, it's like a very thin layer of, it's almost translucent, that um, tissue that is like this interwebbing, right? I mean, it's like cheesecloth, but like microscopic, right? I mean, we're just like talking about, and all of that is nerves talking to each other, and it's right underneath the skin, right? And then it's around every single muscle, every single um,
Yeah. It
organ,
starts right
even
in the
bones.
dermis and it
Yes,
feeds all through.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Like bones
they're all
being.
yeah, they're all talking to each other. And it's also like that thing where you touch here but you can feel it here, right? It's like, it's because the fascia
Yes.
is interwebbed underneath our skin, all through all of us all the time. And it's also another reason why when there's surgeries that are happening, there's that cut into the fascia, and then the fascia has to actually reconnect, and it also, it's very tight underneath the skin. Like, we don't understand all the different
Yeah.
layers, but we're learning more and more about it.
Yes.
We're trying to figure all this stuff out, right? Is it because of something
Yeah.
we eat or do that makes it thicker so it's harder to move, causing all the stiffness in our bodies?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
freaking fascinating. And it
It's
also,
fascinating. Yeah.
yeah. And on a cellular level, when we understand that, our cells know things about us that we have tried to forget, it's living all in there, all through all of our tissues and all our organs and muscles and everything. It kind
Yeah.
of gets trapped in there too. So,
It
yeah.
does.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're
And I
talking
think
about
people don't talk
crazy
about that
business
on
here.
an emotional
No,
level,
they don't.
like on
No.
a, and I can't tell you how many times, and you've experienced this too, where somebody
Mm-hmm.
will release and they
Mm-hmm.
just, tears just start flowing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we just don't, things like that aren't discussed. The body holds memory. Like, that's what it is.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
that's what's so beautiful about this fluid and this beautiful network. And one of my teachers and one of my mentors, like, she just describes it so well as this beautiful, intricate spider web. Like when you go
Yes.
outside in the morning and you see the sun
Yeah.
starting to shine through and there's dew all over this, and that spider's waiting so patiently. And then, when something comes into it or connects with that web, it's that vibration that spider
Yeah.
is
That's
feeling to know.
good.
And it's
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
right? And
Yes,
this is what we have in our body if you think of it
I
that
know.
way.
We're just we're just walking around with it, and we don't even know. We really don't know what's going on most of the time with our body,
We don't.
but our body knows. So yeah. Um, I had this. You
Yes.
just made me remember something. I was having all this pain in my jaw, so I work on my own jaw, and I was just working on my jaw, and all of a sudden, and I was kind of in this really like meditative state. I was relaxed, and I was just really getting into this muscle right here. And I had this memory come back of going to the dentist. I was pretty small. I was probably like 6. And at this particular dentist, they would strap you in to the table when you were
Oh my
little. And
gosh.
I remember my arms were just like, next to me, and they like had this like almost like a Velcro thing over my arms. And I just remember being so scared. And the thing is I wasn't really worried about the dental part. I was not liking being stuck. And so,
Yeah.
but I think that those are the kinds of things that happen on our tables, right? Where we're working on someone,
Yes.
and maybe they don't have this full memory come back, but their body remembers what was in those tissues years
Yeah.
ago. And so really being open to releasing that, so that your jaw can relax, so that your neck can
Right.
relax, and it's not always that, but that's just an example of something. Um,
Yeah.
and and then the energy part, like you're talking about, I mean, we are light beings, which is, spiritual something, right? If we don't even all the way know, souls, that energy that comes into a physical body. And then we have our thoughts and our emotions and everything. I mean, we're extremely complex. We're not just like
Mhm.
simple one cell organisms. So we have a lot going on, and it is all reflecting on our skin. And
Yes.
so and and vibrationally too, so we're constantly seeing both the physical outward, and we're feeling also what's going on
Yeah.
vibrationally. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, so as we're aging, as we're getting older, you know I used to have this big fear of getting older, and um, now not so much. Now I'm like, bring it on, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
What is your advice as we get older? We're going through lots of changes in our bodies, hormonal, and sometimes, I mean, we're babies are leaving the nest, and things are changing for us. What's happening on our skin, and what can we do to keep that vibrant look that we
Hmm.
all want, that glow?
Yeah. Absolutely. I can really think of several things. I think you've already talked about one, and that's movement. That is so key when it comes to like the vitality within the skin, the tissue, the health of the skin itself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
saying that, like, it's not just, manipulating and working the skin here, but also through this whole area, because as massage therapists, like when things get tight and all of this constricts up here, you're going to lose that volume up here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important to think about it as a whole versus just one piece. Um, and it's another thing to really think about like your environment and where you are, where you live. Because like where we are here in Middle Tennessee, we have 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So topically, because that's one of the easy ways that one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that people will do at home is to really reevaluate and to listen to those cues of the skin, right? I don't necessarily believe in like outside of really marketing, like how skincare got put into different categories. I like to look at it more as the season is changing. It's time to reevaluate. I'm feeling a little bit dry, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's our beautiful microbiome just tapping this and saying, hey, I need a little shift. So really
Hmm.
becoming aware and tuning into that is super helpful for aging skin as well, because we know, like you said, hydration is key. So finding that balance it's crucial.
Hmm.
And I think too, being grounded. I know that that sounds kind of like a lot, but when we talk about some of the more common skin things, like we see a lot of like rosaceas, eczema, psoriasis, things like that, we're talking a lot about not just gut health, which I'm so thrilled that a lot of people are starting to address that, but we're
Yes.
talking about an inflammation in the tissue itself. So ways that we can calm our body, and the biggest things that we can do in our skin are really tapping into the nervous system.
Hmm.
And when we're able to be calm, whether that's some people, and it looks different for everyone. Some people that might look like going for a walk out in nature. Other people might be more into like the affirmations and the more meditations,
Hmm.
things like that. But when we are feel really grounded and confident, we're able to pivot and we don't stress our bodies out as much. And that really affects the skin. So those are probably the top three things I can really think of to help with more aging gracefully, right? And being
Yes.
honest with where you are. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 50, but I feel great about it.
Right.
And I
Yes.
always say, like, I've earned this spot. I always laugh. This is my biggest one. I'm like, see this line right here? Okay, well, that's from my three kids.
Yes.
I'm like, because I'm
Right.
like always worried or whatever. And I love that. And I
Well,
wouldn't get rid of it for anything. So,
I thank you for saying all of that because I think that we've lost this idea of what aging is. And because
yeah,
it's either aging or not.
yeah,
I I would like to
absolutely.
age. I'd like to
Yeah,
be here and experience life and so I'm going to just embrace it. Of course I'm going to take care of
yeah.
myself, but I I want to I want to be that old lady, that with the white
I
hair
know.
that
I know.
and the
I do too.
wrinkles. Yes.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
and I think that's beautiful, and I think that it really does start, like you're saying, with just some of the really simple things that we're neglecting so
Yes.
much. So
Yes.
um, I appreciate all of that. And I think you're
Absolutely.
beautiful. I see
Oh, I
you all
think
the
you're
time and I
beautiful
think
too.
you're just bouncing around all happy and joyful. And that's awesome.
I know. And so are
That's
you.
beauty. So,
So are you.
oh,
It's always nice when
well,
you can come to the office because we get to see each other every now and
I
then
know.
in passing. So it always like
Yeah,
makes my day.
I know. I'll get the little quick update and go on with things. But yeah, I really
Yes.
appreciate you. And I just want you to know that your work is so much deeper than skin. And I love that. And I'm grateful for you. And I'm so glad you're teaching that because we need to have
Yeah.
more of it.
Thank you so much for
Um,
having me and like
Thanks.
sharing and like starting this. I think it's so wonderful because I think that this is like a key piece, and we all need this. We need to hear this,
Yes.
number one, and know that we're not alone,
Yes.
that we're all
And we
here
need to,
together. So I really
we,
appreciate you.
yeah, we need to have the conversations. So that's why I was like, we got to talk about all these things and how they're healing. Um, I came into the office one day and I was like really struggling with something and it just kept coming up. It's like I can feel it. And I thought, I really need to heal this, and I thought that's what this is. We need to
I
we
love
we need to
that.
s- we need to start the movement of healing this because it's it's the whole world, right? And we
Yeah.
have to start with our
Yeah.
own stuff and then show grace and love for others so that
Absolutely.
they can apply that in their own life. So you're in Middle
Absolutely.
Tennessee, and if someone
Yes.
wants to come see you or follow you, or let's get on the Kari train. So how do we do that?
Yes. 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 So, yeah, absolutely. So, nourishingskincoach.com is my website. I'm also on Instagram. So, my clients use the Instagram Nourishing Skin Wellness. And then awesome colleagues and students and
Yes.
everything. I've started a new group since I'm starting to teach through
Good.
Aztec now and then mentoring on my own. It's Nourishing Skin Coach on Instagram. So those are the best ways to reach out. I
Yes.
have email as well, and that's hello@nourishingskincoach.com if you have questions, because I feel like a lot of times people don't know where to start. So, like you said, the conversation and the consultation is always the best place.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, signing off, saying bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.